unanimously. We'll now go on to item 104. We have some speakers on the settlement and release of all claims arising from the case of Blackwater Lodge and Training Center, Inc. versus Broughton et al. And that includes City of San Diego. We have several speakers in opposition: Lawrence Drury, Ray Lutz, Veronica Lavarello, and Patricia Gracian. What's your name, sir? Are you Lawrence?
Mr. President?
Yes, sir.
My name is Lawrence Drury.
Okay. Do you have 3 minutes, sir?
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, Mr. Council members, Ms. Whiteman, I live in Councilman District 1. I cannot say or emphasize enough how strongly I feel towards any more money being paid off to a commonly well-known mercenary group who has murdered innocent civilians in Iraq, has come into the borders of our city. And I feel through deception and abuse of the judicial process are now operating a facility. And they now ask the citizens of our city to pay the bill for their litigation and all their costs. I stand in opposition, and it behooves me to think that after 2 applications for obviously innocent improvements were approved by the building department, they then turned around and filed the litigation, and then 5 days later, excuse me, we want to install a firing range. Is this what we want for the citizens of our city? Is this something we would want in our backyards? Council members, Mr. President, I must respectfully and courteously say no. This is our city, and this is our home. And Mr. Goldsmith, sir, I ask that your office, sir, proceed with a full investigation and a criminal prosecution of anyone associated with this organization who has, for any wrongdoing in connection with what I view as a fraud on the city and the residents of the city. If I come to you and say, I want to build a house next door, you will go through all lanes to make sure that that's what I'm doing.
Thank you, Mr. Drury.
You're welcome.
Ray Lutz, followed by Veronica Cavarello.
Hello, City Council. My name is Ray Lutz. I'm with citizensoversight.org. This $150,000 payment and settlement to Blackwater. I know you're not going to do anything based on my comments. I've never had that happen in any City Council meeting in my life. But I want to go on the record as saying that the record should show that what Blackwater did was not right to use phony names to go into our Department of Development to try to obscure what they were doing. They broke their project up into many smaller projects, which is counter to the policy of bringing forth your entire project. And then they worked with the City Department of Development Services Department to obscure what they were doing. The paper permit was lost, and on that permit it said they were putting in a shooting range. The computer record said modular training unit. Somehow this city was working with Blackwater to obscure from the public what they were doing. this sort of public behavior by this company is why Blackwater ended up changing their name, in addition to all of the atrocities that have been documented in Iraq and other places. Now there's Z and U.S. Training Company. Now I hope no one is fooled by this, because we have to continue to follow this company because they do things the wrong way. I'd like to suggest that the City of San Diego not just settle this and request that Blackwater should abandon their request for the $150,000. Why not? Why not try to get $150K out of these guys? It's in their, they want to try to clean up their image, and they may be willing to pay $150K for that. Put it on your bottom line. If you can do this, and it's $150,000 more for the city. Don't go quietly. Don't just say, we're giving in. Secondly, the city should implement improved sunshine laws. I hear a lot of talk about sunshine laws, but go in and try to find out building permits. You've got to go down there into the computer and monkey your way through a whole bunch of crappy records to find out anything. And then they lose it. Hey, those should be on the website. Why not? Put all the building permits on the website so we can see what's going on. And make it a rule that you can't go in with a phony name like Blackwater did. Now, I know you guys are going to give in to Blackwater and fork over this $150K, but don't do it quietly. Ask them to give it up. Publicly say, Blackwater, we want you to give up your $150K for the benefit of the city. Thank you.
Lavarello and Tricia Garcia.
Hi, I'm here because I want to oppose obviously, to Blackwater and paying them anything, not even a penny. But I think you should know who I am and why I'm here. I was born, because of my accent, I think you can tell that I was not born here. I was born in South America, in Peru. And in South America, in Peru, and you're going to ask why I'm telling you this story, but there is a point. Peruvians and Ecuadorians, our neighbors, northern neighbors, had fought in many occasions, many wars, intermittently. And while we were fighting those wars, there were companies like Blackwater who came and helped us arm ourselves and spend our money in military equipment, and we remained poor. One of the things, I moved to San Diego 6 years ago, and one of the reasons I love San Diego is because it is so peaceful, and 40,000 people cross the border back and forth all the time, every day, and this is a privilege. And I know Blackwater is already established itself in Otay Mesa, but it's outrageous to me to think that you are going to give them even one penny because the previous city attorney had the courage to tell them, no, we don't want you here, and you haven't done the paperwork in the right way, and the citizen had the right to speak up, and we were not even given that right. So remember who they are. They have killed innocent civilians in Iraq. They have been kicked out of Iraq because they are not respectable, because people don't trust them, because they shoot first and they ask questions later. Do you really want historians in the future to look at this decision and say, this city council approved to give money to Blackwater, $150,000 on top of the fact that they sneak into the city, not allowing the citizens to speak up? Do you really want that in your records? People in the future, sociologists, anthropologists, are going to be scratching their head if you approve to give them a penny. It's outrageous. Thank you.
Thank you. Patricia Garcia.
Hi, my name is Pat Gracian. I'm here because I'm very upset about the way our country has been run and what we have become. And this nation is a nation of thugs anymore. We even have them show up here as citizens, and I would urge the City Council in the future to please not honor any requests that coerce other citizens to prove their citizenship or their patriotism by saluting to flags and things like that. It's a very flighty and superficial form of patriotism that these people espouse. I think a true patriotism is love for your country because of what it stands for. And we have lost a lot of our freedoms, and we are still living in this loss of our freedoms, and it's a very dangerous place to be. I object, and I'm here to protest giving a group that has proven time and again that they are willing and able to use thuggery, that's all you can call it, to get their way. They went around the rules of our city and denied the city its proper procedure and process of approval in order to get their way. The federal government comes in and through federal legal thuggery forces the city to do what the city would not obviously have approved if done the right way. So I entreat this august group to please do what it can to oppose this, perhaps appeal it, if not to at least issue a statement that states that they are being forced to not honor the proper way of doing approvals for a very important matter here. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President and member of the council. I'd like to just clarify what we are doing here. This is authorizing the sum of $150,000 to be paid from the Public Liability Fund in settlement of the plaintiff's claims. This is a settlement that was approved in closed session on December 2, 2008, before I took office and before half this council took office. It is a settlement agreement that the only thing left is to make payment. It arose out of a lawsuit that was obviously a high-profile issue that the city lost. The plaintiff would be entitled to recover their attorney's fees. At the Ninth Circuit mediation process, this agreement was apparently reached and approved on December 2 in closed session. The plaintiff's attorney's fees that they had sought at that point were $640,000. The only thing before this council then is to perform under the settlement agreement reached on December 2, and that's it.
Yes. And I'd like to state, I'd like to simply thank the group that was here today. I have to say that I agree with what you've said today in reference to this matter. I have had a lot of heartburn over this issue, a lot of problems with the way Blackwater did conduct themselves and how they, I feel they manipulated our process. And I have a lot of very, very strong feelings about an organization that espouses their values, locating on the border and creating a shootout facility next to a neighbor that's a friendly neighbor. We don't have an axe to grind with Mexico in that respect, and to have their presence there really sends a wrong message to our friendly partner in Mexico. But the fact is, this is a matter that's been, a judge has made a decision on this. This is something that a judge made a very, very clear decision on that creates a financial burden on our city. I'd rather be paying them $150,000 today than at $640,000. If you had to choose yourselves, given a choice of paying them $150,000 or $640,000, what would you choose? And if we appealed, and the likelihood of an appeal in this case, of prevailing an appeal is very, very low, which would cost us more money, which they would fight for more damages, and we would be looking at a matter maybe in a year down the line, maybe $2 million of damages to this organization that we may lose. So this is I understand it's a very, I'm with you in this in terms of where I am philosophically, but our city cannot really afford to solve this problem that's really has to be dealt with at a federal level to really resolve I mean, they're contractors contracting with the federal government. It's our own government. Our own government is financing an organization that's coming to our neighborhood and creating disruption. And we need to deal with it that way, or else we're going to go bankrupt as a city. So, Ms. Fry, you want to make some additional comments to that?
First of all, I believe part of the, I don't know if anyone's made a motion, but the motion should include that the city attorney be directed to come back to the Land Use and Housing Committee with municipal code changes to prevent such a thing from ever happening again. That was my understanding of what we had a discussion about. And secondarily, Mr. Lutz, I would just like to say to you, I agree. Blackwater, please, the $150,000 could be better used by the city of San Diego, and we would certainly appreciate it if you would return it to us. Happy to.
Thank you, and I do recall those were part of the comments. We were working on that. We do have a meeting plan up there one time, so.
And Mr. City Attorney, Mr. Goldsmith, may we, as part of our motion, would it be a problem legally to include, as part of coming back with the changes to the municipal code and approving the settlement, to put in a request that it is the sense of the council that we would certainly like to see the $150,000 returned to the citizens of San Diego?
We're soliciting a donation in good faith. As long as we perform our agreement, I don't see a problem with it. Let me ask Mr. Schaefer from our office, who has been involved in this. Do you see any problem with the request?
I don't see a problem with the request. I don't think it's well received, given that this is a product of extensive negotiations.
We certainly understand that it might not be well received, but I will tell you that the payment of the $150,000 is not being well received by the public and many members of the city council. About the different names of people and how this all went down. So it was a very, very difficult time. But what we can do now is prevent it from happening in the future by amending the municipal code, by unfortunately having to abide by the courts, because this is a nation of laws, whether we like some of the outcomes. In this one, we do not like the outcomes. And thirdly, to request that that Blackwater consider donating $150,000 to the good citizens of our city.
Thank you, Ms. Fry. I'll second that motion. Mr. Gloria?
Thank you, President Laso. I want to start by thanking you for your efforts on this. As Ms. Fry noted, I know you've been involved in this for a good deal of time. I certainly wouldn't want this in my council district, and I think that you should have a good deal of leadership on the issue. I appreciate Ms. Fry's motion. I would let her and my colleagues know that Land Use and Housing Committee staff has already been making efforts in this direction. We have been working with city attorney staff and with city staff to make this exact change so that the same kind of activity that has got us to this point will not happen again. Which is to say, some other variation of this, we obviously are dealing with a very astute organization. However, to the extent that lessons learned have been taken here, and that the members of the public who object to what has occurred, you have certainly my commitment that the Land Use and Housing Committee is working on this issue. We will bring back to the council a remedy for this particular instance. I understand this is a business decision on our part in terms of our exposure and getting away. I heard the comment from a member of the public talking about, asking not to do the 150 and that we could get a discount, but really what we're talking about is a discount, although I wholeheartedly support Ms. Fry's notion that never hurts to ask. I think we should ask. And lastly, I would just say that I think in the resolution, it notes that the previous council, when we heard this in closed session, that it was a seven votes, whereas the executive summary notes that it was a unanimous 8-0 vote, so that might just need to be corrected. But other than that, I'd be happy to support this resolution.
Thank you. So we have a motion by Ms. Fry, a second. Please vote. Clerk, please call the roll. That passes unanimously. We'll move on to an non-agenda, council comment. Mayor, council, independent budget analyst, city attorney comment. I just wanted to extend my